So I've seen these commercials. I think like everybody's seen these commercials about like online game ads. And I've always been wondering, like, why is it that, like, because, like, some of these games, there'll be a commercial for a game that seems kind of interesting, and then the game itself isn't like that at all. It's like, why do you make a fake video game ad? Why wouldn't you just make the game? If you already have a proof of concept, like, why not just make the game? I don't understand.
This is a YouTube advertisement for a mobile game called CatDany the King's Return. You've probably seen this ad or ads just like it a million,
so many
billion,
times.
jillion times before, right? But if you go to the App Store on your phone and you download this game, you will quickly realize that the game you see in this ad does not exist.
What?
CatDany is a game about city building. You build an
That's not even close.
empire and level up your town hall and all that good stuff. But despite the fact that this ad is a lie, this marketing strategy is clearly very effective. This game has over 100 million downloads on the Google Play Store. So you might be thinking to yourself, why would a company even do this? What do they stand to gain by tricking over 100 million people into downloading a game that doesn't even exist? Well, I can answer your question in just one word. Whales. And when you think of whales, you might think...
Jesus Christ, are you serious? Oh my god.
Think of, you know, big giant creatures swimming through the sea, or maybe, you know, the country with hills and sheep and stuff. But a mobile game developer, when they think of a whale, they think of this guy. His name is Daigo, and he is completely and utterly addicted to a mobile game called Fate Grand Order. He spends
it's crazy to see people do this.
Basically every waking moment of his life playing this game. And at the time of this Wall Street Journal video being released,
like
he had spent roughly $70,000 on the game.
Probably 80 by now.
So much money that he couldn't actually state an exact figure. And perhaps the most shocking part of
I don't like to think about it. I feel like, isn't that a self-report that maybe what you're doing is a bad idea? I don't even want to acknowledge the fact that it's happening. Yeah, like, to me, like, I don't know. I think that's a little bit of a giveaway.
Is that he doesn't regret spending a single penny. This right here is the lifeblood of your average free-to-play mobile game. Maybe your game gets 100 million downloads, but the overwhelming majority of those players won't spend a single penny on your game. Many of them will quit after just a couple of hours. A small percentage of players will spend small amounts of money here or there just to make the game more fun for them. But then a very small number of people will spend astronomical amounts of money on the game. So much money. Well,
it's like, you think about it, right? Let's say you have 100 million people playing your game. Like, you got 100 million people, and then out of that 100 million, 1,000 of those people, very, very small percentage, less than 1% of those people, 1,000 of those people spend $10,000, let's say. That's $10 million. That's what happens, is they bank on just that, like, that 0.1% to just make up the amount of money. And, like, one's at 100,000, right? Or something like that. And it's probably even more. Yeah, Diablo Mobile. Yeah. So, like, the whales, like, you only need a few whales in a game to really keep it going. Wait, you're right? Yeah. And, like, whenever you think about it at scale, it actually is crazy how much they're making.
That it makes up for all of the other people who never spent a penny combined. And the more downloads your game gets, the more whales you get.
And you need more of those casual players, because those casual players make the whales feel good about being whales.
To some sources, only about 2% of all mobile game players turn out to be whales. Yet they are responsible...
2%. Think about that. 2% of 100 million is 2 million people. So if a whale is, like, I don't know, like $1,000, that's $2 billion. That's crazy. Like, that 2%? Oh my God. I'm in the wrong industry. Yes.
Overwhelming majority of the money that the mobile gaming industry makes each year. And 2% of 100 million downloads is a whole lot more whales than 2% of 10,000 downloads.
That's right.
So an advertisement like this, which just flagrantly shows you a game that isn't real, is doing its job exactly right. All this ad needs to do is convince you to download the game. That's it. Because yeah, sure, 90% of people are going to uninstall it basically immediately, and 98% of people won't.
In my opinion, I think this should be illegal, by the way. Is like if you're doing something like this, it's basically false advertising.
Spend a penny. But those 2% make so much money that from the gaming company's perspective, all of this lying and cheating is worth it in the end.
And it's also, keep in mind that it's not like you only spend $10,000 or $0. There's a lot of people that are like, I spend $30, I spend $20, somebody spends $6. That's still money. And you put $6 times $1 million, that's $6 million.
It's the biggest mobile game developers billions of dollars every year. But you're all probably thinking to yourself the exact same thing right now. This is just false advertising. Isn't false advertising meant to be illegal?
It is.
Don't these companies get sued into the ground for advertising a game that's completely fake? Well, in theory, yes. False advertising is illegal and it can get you into some serious trouble. But in practice, these companies aren't actually breaking the law. You see, when I said this game didn't exist, I was almost telling the truth, because this game you see in the advert does exist inside of Ebony the King's Return. See, it's a mini game.
This looks like shit. This looks like the PlayStation 2 version
that you can play inside of Ebony. You can play it for free for about half an hour before the levels run dry and you have to start engaging with the base building mechanics that most of the game is centered around. So to any government agency looking in, you didn't technically falsely advertise your product. This game is inside the mobile app that it's advertising. It's not false advertising, it's just disingenuous advertising. And disingenuous,
in my opinion, I think that it's still false advertising. I do. And the reason why is, like, if you look at this here, this is not the same as this. It's not. It's not the same game. Period. Like, it's undeniable that it's not the same game. So what are we talking about?
Advertising. And disingenuous isn't illegal, so they get away with it. Now, there are some games that do a much, much worse job of pretending to be the game from the ad. Like, whilst I was researching this video, I played a game called Top War Battle Game that, as far as I could tell, wasn't even trying to pretend to be the game from the ad. So I have no idea how companies like these get away with it. But generally, the game in the ad will be somewhere inside the app at some...
Well, the way they get away with it is because Google doesn't do any quality control for their ads. That's the reason why they get away with it, is because Google doesn't care. And that's why, like, so many people, like, everybody talks about, oh, it's like bad to, it's like unethical to like ad block. It's like, you know what, like, you're right, but like Google's also behaving unethically by just letting ads that are blatant scams be published on their platform. Like, there's like the Mr. Beast scams, the Joe Rogan like deep fake scams for supplements. Like, this stuff is really bad.
Point. They run an ad that shows a game that looks kind of fun, so it convinces you to download the game.
Yeah.
You play this little mini game for half an hour before quickly realizing that the bulk of the game is not really what you signed up for. And this is where most people just uninstall the game and never think about it again. But for that tiny 2% of players, they get hooked on what the rest of the game contains, and they spend money again and again, and they single-handedly bankroll the entire company that makes the game for years to come.
And this is why games keep appealing to whales, is because their vote matters more than yours does. Because whenever you vote with $1, they vote with $1,000. That's it. And so whenever you're not voting at all, that's another factor. It's that simple. Because no court wants to continually try to prosecute false advertising games. Maybe, I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, in general, right? Like, this is why these games keep happening. Developers take the tactic of fake ads to make a lower cost per install to implement it. Yeah, you could be right.
Now, if you've been on the internet for a while and have a relatively good memory, you might also remember these adverts.
Yeah.
These ones are similarly infamous for being completely fake and not representing the game at all. In fact, these ones are so infamous that they actually made an entire ad campaign that literally commented on how their ads are fake.
Guys, didn't y'all believe that all those puzzle ads were fake? And there's no such game? But today, I finally found the game. Ebony the King's Return.
Honestly, this one is...
Wait, So they're talking and complaining about fake games while they're advertising the game that people are complaining about to be fake, and it is in fact fake. Wow. That's impressive.
So bold in just like doubling down on the lie that I honestly kind of respect it. But these ads were all over the internet a few years back, just blatantly showing a game that they had no intention of actually letting you play for more than 10 minutes. But these ads were discontinued a long time ago, and they've not been running for years. And when you download CatDany, this old game is nowhere to be found, which sheds a light on another strategy these mobile game companies use to advertise their game. They use what's called A/B testing. They will create a bunch of different adverts and then roll them all out onto YouTube all at once. Then they look at the statistics to see which of these ads performed the best and which of them resulted in the most downloads for the game. Whichever of these ads that they created that does the best will be kept, and the rest will get discarded.
I really have to admire the shamelessness of it. I do. Like, they don't care about anything. All they care about is getting people to download this piece of shit and play it. It's crazy.
They then take the successful...
Somebody said in chat, call center energy. You are exactly right.
Ad, and they make some iterations of it, changing, you know, details here and there inside the ad. Then they roll out those ads again and measure their success. And they do this over and over again until they have the perfect ad to get as many downloads as possible for their game.
It's min-max.
And the most important part of all is that whatever minigame they decide to show in the advert is literally completely made up from scratch. And if one of the fake minigames in the ad starts to do well as an ad campaign, they then start making the mini game for their app to match the ad. Funnily enough,
man,
most products usually start, you know, making the product first, and then they make the ad to reflect the product. But mobile game companies start with the ad. And the moment this ad stops working as well as it used to, the moment people start to catch on that the game they're being advertised is completely fake, the company then changes their entire ad campaign. Make a brand new ad with a brand new fake game and spread it far and wide.
So before they have time to complain about it enough, they already just flip the script and start something new. That's a pretty good idea. Yes, so goddamn rotten it is. It's really impressive. Yes, I know. Imagine waking up every morning and being an employee for one of these companies. They really have to psych eval for sociopathy. I mean, I think that they don't even, like, they probably don't even think about it. They're probably like, okay, so, like, we're going to do this. We're going to make these games, and whichever one people like will actually make the real game. Yeah, they're not thinking about this shit at all.
Starting the cycle all over again. Now, whilst I was researching this video, there was one thing that I just couldn't get my head around for the longest time. If you're a mobile game company and you have an ad that looks like this, that is insanely popular, why not just make your entire game look like this? Like, it's clearly super popular. People like it a lot, and it convinces them to download your game. And there are literally thousands of negative reviews on the App Store page talking about how mad they are about the false advertising. So if you get all this backlash from your scummy marketing strategy, why not just make the entire game be just like the...
Because the people that are making the game don't speak English, and they don't even know what these things are saying. They just think, oh, it's another mad white person? Haha, we got him again. Hey, fuck him. Yeah, they don't even know. Oh, look at him. Look how mad he is. Yeah, that's probably the real reason.
Popular ad campaign that your team came up with. Well,
this
is where we get to the saddest and most insidious part of the story.
Stupid
you see,
white devil.
whales are only half of the money-making strategy that these game companies employ. Because even if you get 100 million downloads on your app, even if 2 million whales rock up to your app,
that's a lot of whales.
Hand, you still have to convince those whales to spend their money in the first place. And this is where we get to the nasty part. The reason CatDany is a base builder, and the reason it's been a base builder...
Because you probably have to wait time for you to build the base. but if you pay money, you can skip the wait. Let's find out if I'm right about this.
Builder for its entire lifetime is because the base builder game is created from the ground up by very intelligent people with one single goal in mind: to be as addictive and manipulative as possible in order to get you to
What a fucking surprise. Who could have ever imagined this?
Feel pressured into spending your money. And once you've started spending your money, it's designed to keep you spending it over and over again. Whales aren't just whales because they're stupid and have too much money on their hands. They're whales because they are unfortunately addicted to a game that they are willing to waste tens of thousands of dollars on. And this little...
I think that there is a component of whales where it's actually not a mental disorder. They just like spending money on the game because they're bad with money. They're just stupid. Yeah, they're flexers. Exactly. Yeah, they're flexing. That's what matters to them. They like anime titties. Yeah, exactly. It's not a mental disorder. It's not a mental health crisis. It's just these guys like spending money on the game and bragging about it because they think it's cool.
Minigame of enemies running down the lanes at you just isn't good at making whales spend their money. It's very good at convincing people to download a game. It's fantastic marketing, but the downside of this minigame is that it's hard to monetize, whereas a base builder or an anime RPG is incredibly easy.
Is this like AFK Journey? I remember everybody was getting sponsored to play this game. Everybody got sponsored to play this game except for me. I think I was the only person on Twitch that did not get sponsored to play this game. Is it Fate Grand Order? Yeah, well, they all look the same, and it's all basically the same shit, right? I mean, let's be honest.
Monetize, and they use all of the nastiest little tricks in the book that you can possibly think of to manipulate people into spending their money. They slow your progression through the game to a crawl and then offer you the ability to buy your progression back. They intentionally don't make their games too skill-based so that you'll be more willing to just buy chances to win. They offer you...
Well, the reason why is because that's actually not the reason why. It's that if somebody spends $10,000 in a video game and they lose to somebody who plays it for free, do you know what that whale thinks? Maybe I might be a fucking idiot. Wait, am I stupid? Wait a minute. And whenever the person who you're trying to get to spend a large amount of money on something they shouldn't be spending money on, the last thing you want them to do is to think. Thinking is the death of a sale. So don't let them think.
Limited time deals to make you feel pressured into spending money literally right now, or else the deal goes away. They make desirable characters, skins, or items impossible to directly buy and make it so that the only way to access them is through loot box mechanics that are completely random. In fact, there's this really scary, disgusting video.
Oh man, dude, this is going to live in infamy for like next 10 years.
On the internet called Let's Go Whaling, where this guy, this evil, dirty fucking bastard of a man, goes on a massive 20-minute talk about just how he monetizes a mobile game. And it is...
I don't like the people that are false advertising, but at the same time, like, if you're getting addicted to Fate Grand Order and spending $70,000 on it, I'm really not going to blame a lot of other people besides you on that. I mean, like, you're doing that to yourself. You're... Like, if like you're hitting yourself. What are you doing? Like, at a certain point, like, he's not evil. Yeah, you cracked him. Exactly. Yeah. Like, what's really going on here? Like, why are we getting mad at this guy for making a game that's like addictive rather than the person who's like spending a bunch of money on a game? Like, this is insane. Like, at what point is this person not accountable for their own behavior? Why does it matter if the consumer doesn't regret spending the money? Because I think that most consumers do regret spending the money. And I think that regret sets in. It's like post-nut clarity, where it's like you're not thinking about it being a bad thing at the time, but then after you finish playing the game and you look at it again, you think, this is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. Get it off my screen right now. That's the reason why.
genuinely like staring in the face of Satan himself. I won't go over the entire video here, I'll just link it in the description for you to watch the whole thing, and I really do recommend you watch it because he goes over every dirty little trick in the business that mobile game companies use to pathologize spending money. And after you've finished watching that video, and after this guy has made you really, really angry, just think that there are dozens of people just
that are watching this and taking notes. You've got to keep in mind that this guy wasn't giving a presentation to nobody. There are people that are in the audience that are like, what? They're thinking about it, man. That's what's happening. It's not like this is one dude.
Like this guy that work at the biggest and most profitable gaming companies in the world, and they spend every moment of their working lives trying to weasel their way into your mind and into your wallet.
Of course.
So that is why the mobile game company can't just make their entire game look like the ad, because the game in the ad looks much more fun to play, but it's much worse at slyly convincing people to part with their hard-earned cash. And you might be sat at home thinking to yourself, well, I would never be dumb enough to fall for this stuff. I have never spent a penny on a mobile game in my life. And that's just...
You're still a plankton. And if you play these games, you are contributing to the ecosystem that keeps the whales alive. Yep. If you're playing the game, if you're free to play, you are still playing.
Just a thing. Because you're probably right. You probably wouldn't fall for this stuff. But there are people out there that do. And they fall for it really hard. And as much as you might not want to admit it, those people are just like you and me. They're not dumber than you.
I think they are. I'll say it. I think they are dumber. Now, they might not be dumber than you about everything, but they sure are about this. Abso-fucking-lutely. It's not even a question.
They're not necessarily less able to see it for what it is than you are. They're just more prone to falling into these addiction traps than you are. They are being manipulated in one way or another by a bunch of people in suits just like this fuck.
I will say I disagree with this outlook to a degree. And the reason why is because all advertising is designed in order to get you to do something that you would otherwise not do. That's why advertising is there. It's to create awareness of something or to make it compelling. And this is the same as a YouTube title or a YouTube thumbnail. It's the same as having attractive people wearing clothes for a different brand. This is the same for everything. And that's just the way it is. I think at a certain point, a person has to take accountability for their own behavior. And if you know what you're getting into and you're spending your money on it, then you're accountable for that behavior. You do understand addiction is no different than alcohol addiction, right? Yeah, I do. And so if you want to avoid alcohol addiction, don't drink alcohol. It's actually really simple. Just don't drink alcohol. That's it. I understand that there's going to be some people that are going to go and be like, oh, it's not that simple. It actually really is. It's the same as if you want to lose weight, eat better, and start working out. It's hard to do. You might think it's challenging or it's painful, but that's what the solution is. If you don't want to get addicted to these games, then don't play these games. Don't play games? Yes, don't play the games that you think are addictive. Yes, absolutely. Privileged shit. Oh, there's no justification. What's your justification? I'm addicted to alcohol? Who decided for you to be addicted to alcohol? You did whenever you started drinking. Everybody knows the risks to this. It's not like nobody, like people, you think people don't know about alcoholism? People don't know about being an alcoholic? What are we talking about? Like, what is this? Stop it. Depression? Oh, so you're depressed so you can just do something that damages your life and it's not your fault anymore? That doesn't make any sense. That makes no sense. It's still your fault. Same as drugs, gambling, and collecting items? Yeah, exactly. That's kind of a bad comparison. Alcohol is like inherently bad, like a video game is supposed to be just fun. That's not true. I don't think alcohol is like inherently bad in small amounts. And I think that for the people that think alcohol is inherently bad, probably also think a lot of them think video games are inherently bad. People think that it's just a matter of perspective. Dumb take? No, it's not. It's not at all. If you don't want to get addicted to something, don't do it. Problem solved. People have zero accountability. Yeah, they want, oh, it's depression. It's the advertising. Get the fuck out of here. Take some accountability for your own life. Quit blaming the world because you can't control yourself.
Who spend their lives abusing quirks of human psychology to make themselves insanely rich at the expense of everyday people just like you. So if you're ever watching YouTube and you see a mobile game ad that looks appealing to you, please, for the love of God, don't click on it.
That's right.
Because clicking on it is exactly what they want you to do. Thanks for watching.
That's a fact. That's fact. True, true, true. Absolutely. It doesn't apply once you're addicted or born with the addiction. You're right. If you're born with an addiction to something, it's different. But I don't think that's what most people are. So here's the thing. I'll talk about that after. Like, I'll link you this video. This is, I actually have never heard this outlook. I didn't know about this as much as this month. As much as he explained it. This is a good video. I really like this a lot. Born with addiction? Yeah. So, like, some kids are, like, born addicted to crack because their moms are crack whores. Like, that's what he's talking about. That's a legit thing. It happens. Or heroin. Yeah, it's just the way it is. How would you even know whenever most people, there are 7 billion people in the world? Well, because it's the same solution. It's like, I don't know all 7 billion people in the world, but I know if you cut your arm off, it won't grow back. Like, there are some things you don't need to test this with every single person in order to know it's obvious.